Yes, people, welcome to the latest episode of the ShoeString Budget Podcast. My name is Jordan, and I'm joined as ever by my co-host Tom. How you doing, man?
All good. How are you?
All good. Thank you for asking. Today is the day before the big one. Oh my gosh, Manchester United versus Arsenal. Now, this back in the day when I was growing up, this used to be the go-to fixture. This is the one that you used to look out for on your little calendar. This is the one. This was usually to figure out who was going to be champions, who was going to finish runner-up in the days of Henry and Bergkamp, Perez, Giggs, Rooney, Van Nistelrooy. This was the big one. I don't know when you were growing up if this was a big fixture or not, but it certainly was
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. I feel like with the game tomorrow, I know we're still early, but I feel like this game could probably define our season, if you kind of get where I'm coming from, because I feel like our only challenge at the minute is Arsenal. And I feel like if we can get a result against them, then, that's progress.
I think it is. I think you're absolutely right. Arsenal are absolutely flying this season. I never thought I'd say that sentence again. What a start to the season they've had. Undefeated in their first 5 games. Fair enough, a lot of people have said, it's against lesser opposition. But at the same time, looking at last year, they would have probably lost, more than likely lost to those teams. So I think, fair play to Arteta and what he's trying to achieve there. They've done, they've done an absolutely cracking job.
Yeah, definitely. And the signings that he's made over the transfer window have been successful. Sorry, especially Gabrielle Jesus. He's been Arsenal's best player by far.
Oh, absolutely. He's a wonderful signing. I think they paid 40 million for him, which is nothing in today's market. So I also like the fact they brought back Odegaard as well. Obviously, after his loan spell, they've cemented him.
He's a class player. He's really
Yeah,
good. And
absolute
Martinelli
quality.
as well. Martinelli is really he's really improved.
Well, that was it. I remember years ago on Twitter, it was the big debate was always Martinelli versus Rashford, and Rashford used to come out on top, but maybe not so much now. But we'll come back to that because we are going to go and do our.
To be honest, I think the only difficult ones for me were the midfield. I think up top it was obvious. Defense also pretty obvious, and I think midfield, it could have really been anybody, but we've gone with what we've gone with. So
Before we start, we're going to lay down some ground rules of the players that we've picked and why. So we did set some rules. Those being, we only selected from the team that played in the last game. Now, I know Arsenal have had some injuries, and there is talk about some players coming back and some players potentially being unfit for tomorrow's game. So bear that in mind with these selections. So we've only gone with Man United versus Leicester as their starting 11, and Arsenal versus Fulham, their 11. So those are the players that we can pick from.
yeah.
Okay, should we get the ball rolling then? So we're going to obviously start in goal. And who have we gone for in goal?
See, this one for me was debatable, but I think if we're going off form this season and recently, who's been the most consistent, who he hasn't really looked as if he's been worried or struggled the same as the other keeper. But I think this one was Aaron Ramsdale.
Aaron Ramsdale, I mean, he's had a great start. Kept 2 clean sheets in 5, same as De Gea. But he has conceded 3 fewer goals. So he's conceded 4.
I think if we go all time, then it's obviously David De Gea. Not many goalkeepers come close, but I think for form at the minute in recent times, it's got to be Ramsdale.
Yeah, it's hands down Ramsdale. I mean, David De Gea has had more shots to stop, but that's more of an indictment of our defence as opposed to Aaron Ramsdale's sort of lack of quality. So, yeah, I think great start for him to the season. So Aaron Ramsdale is our starting goalkeeper in our combined 11. Now, this is where we'll get a lot of angry DMs from Arsenal fans later on, I'm sure. We'll go with right back. Who have you picked for right back?
Diogo Dalot, baby.
Yes, Diego Dalot, the man has absolutely transformed under Eric Ten Hag. I was not a big fan of this guy. Arsenal's right back in the last game was Benjamin White, who usually plays obviously as a centre back.
He's not. Nah.
No, head to head, Dalot. I was actually surprised Dalot actually came out on top. Considering, when I say I'm surprised, considering the start that Arsenal have had, and I saw quite a funny statistic the other day that Dalot statistically isn't that much of an improvement from Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which shocked me massively, really. So
they play different type of styles. I think obviously we've gone over it before. 1-on-1 is definitely Aaron Wan-Bissaka because the slide tackling and he comes out on top all the time. But I think overall defending, especially in today's game where you've got to get forward, you've got players that are wing back, it's got to get crosses in, assists, blah blah blah. It's got to be Dalot.
Yeah, that means defensively, Ben White comes out on top. Also, Ben White does win more challenges at 70% of his challenges per 90, as opposed to the 63% that Dalot wins. So I think defensively, yeah, you would look at that and say Ben White should go in there. But on the flip side, going forward, which you're absolutely right to point out, is such a modern part of the game now for fullbacks, is how they attack, and Dalot wins on almost every metric that he faces.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is definitely the biggest factor. Defensively, Ben White would go in, but as a package, it has to be Dalot. Okay, moving forward. So in defence, so we've got, let's go as our right centre-back. It was a choice between Saliba and Varane. Now, we went with Varane, and there are some pointers to this. Both players have been in absolutely fine form, arguably transforming both sets of defences. Manchester United without Varane in his place, Maguire, it was such a bad start, conceding 6 goals in our opening 2 fixtures. Varane's come in and he has cemented that defence alongside Lisandro Martinez. And I mean, what a partnership that is really starting to look like now.
We've conceded, the first 2 games of the season we had Harry Maguire. We conceded 6 goals in 2 games, and then now that Maguire has been dropped and it's Varane and Martinez, we've conceded 1 goal in 3 games and also got 3 wins.
It's such a transformation, and obviously we've just witnessed the downfall of Manchester United last season when they were leaking goals. I think me and you could have scored against that defence, and to see now an actual partnership where they're all high-fiving each other after every challenge and they love getting stuck in. I'm really excited to see where this defence goes on to. But yeah. Saliba though, also I do feel bad with this one. This one was a tough one.
I don't think we've seen enough of him, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think Saliba, he has changed the defence. He really transformed Arsenal. Oh yeah, for sure. I've been massively impressed with what I've seen from him. This isn't a case of saying he's not a good defender. I'm just saying for what Varane's done to the defence as opposed to what Saliba's done at this point, I am putting my money sort of closer to Raphael Varane.
Yeah, and I think what also helps it is Varane's history, what he's won, what he's done, World Cup, Champions League. And I think this one, at the minute, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, this one, I found this one difficult. I know you say it's a no-brainer. Personally, I can understand and sympathise with the argument for Gabrielle, for Saliba in that position. So we'll move across to the left centre-back position. So it was Gabrielle up against Lisandro Martinez. We obviously went for Martinez in this one.
Yeah, I think for the start, since Martinez joined Manchester United, I feel like we got 2 man of the matches in a row. He got United Player of the Month. And people were complaining about his height, saying no, he can't do it, and he's proved them all wrong. And he's such a solid defender alongside Raphael Varane. Like I no longer. When Man United play, I no longer feel worried anymore.
Yeah, I feel so assured of that defence now. It
It's been
seems
so long.
watertight.
It's been so long.
It really has. I mean, I can't remember, to be honest, the last partnership I remember being anywhere close to this was Rio and Vidic. I know it's still very early to make that comparison, but for me, the way that they're looking at this moment in time, they definitely have the potential to be that level.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's we go into a game now when I can happily sit there and watch teams, you know, counter attack and not be even half as worried as I would have been last season.
Absolutely, it's crazy the difference between the two, both last season and this season. The divide is huge. Okay, we'll move on to our left back position now. It was Kieran Tierney versus Tyrell Malacia. Who did we go for?
Okay, so personally, I don't think Kieran Tierney has been consistent enough for me, whereas I feel like Tyrell Malacia, since he's been at United, he's proved why he needs to be our first left back choice over any other left back that we've got at the club. You know, he's been strong. He's not backed down. You know, he pocketed Mo Salah against Liverpool, and not many players can do that or say that. So, and he's such a young age as well. I feel like this one for us, wasn't an easy choice, but we went for Malacia.
Yeah, so on a head-to-head basis between these two, and I know it doesn't always come down to stats, but Malacia has got 2 clean sheets to Kieran Tierney's 0. With Malacia in the squad, Manchester United have only conceded 1 goal. He's also completed more tackles, so he's got 12 tackles to Kieran Tierney's 4. And the success rate of that is 9 tackles. 9 of those tackles hit the mark, whereas only 1 of Kieran Tierney's did. So yeah, for me, this is a no-brainer. Solid performance from Malacia in our last few games. I'm really excited by him, to be honest. Okay, so moving up into that midfield now, on the left-hand side, it's Granit Xhaka versus Christian Eriksen. Who came out on tops in this one?
Granit Xhaka for us. To be honest, I feel like I should let you voice your reasoning to this one.
Yeah, this one was a tough one. This one was a very tough one. I've been impressed with Christian Eriksen at United in his opening few games. I think he's put a lot going forward. He's ran his socks off, which, considering his health, probably isn't for the best, but he's been fantastic and he's been a very integral part to Erik ten Hag's system. Now, however, Granit Xhaka, there's a couple of things. On the metrics, head-to-head, Granit Xhaka does come out on top, so he completes more passes, which shocked me. He also has a better pass completion rate, so 83.9% of his passes hit the mark. The only thing is that Christian Eriksen does make more passes going forward, so Xhaka is very much a case of passing side to side.
Yeah, I feel like with Xhaka, he's definitely a more defensive type player.
Yeah, absolutely. He's more defensive minded than Christian Eriksen. Having said all of that, though, Granit Xhaka against Manchester United is sort of where he becomes a beast. Like, every time I've seen Xhaka play against Man United, he has put an absolute shift in. Obviously, he
Especially
scored.
last season at the Emirates, you know, he scored a great goal against us.
Yeah, that was at the end of last season. He scored the 3rd goal against us. So, yeah, I just really like the guy. I think he's an absolute stonewall central defensive midfielder, and he can control the game on his day. And usually his day comes against Manchester United. So I'm putting him in for that reason. That was the logic behind that one. Although that was difficult. That one was very difficult because I do love what Eriksen's done. Okay, moving on in our midfield. This one for me wasn't tough, but I'm not sure about how you feel about this one. Sammy Lokonga versus Scott McTominay. Who have we gone for?
So on this one, by the looks of it, You've gone with Lokonga. See, me personally, I would have gone with Scott McTominay. Only because, again, I've not seen much of Lokonga, and I think recently Scott McTominay's kind of proven why he needs to be in the United side. But the only problem with Scott McTominay is he's so inconsistent. It's ridiculous. Some games he can be shocking, but then other days, he can be our best player, and it's one of them. You need that consistency. He doesn't have it, but I think that's his downfall. He doesn't have the consistency that he needs.
I'm quite intrigued to see how Scott McTominay does this season, because obviously for the last couple of years it's been the seasons of McFred, and I'm glad Eric Ten Hag has picked up on that and realised that is not what we need. So he's pairing him up with somebody else, usually Christian Eriksen, and sometimes Casemiro comes in as well in the second half to slot in there as well. And he does look like a different player. However, based on the head-to-heads, Sammy Lokonga comes out massively on top, so he completes more passes, more challenges, more key passes per 90. I think Sammy Lokonga just edges this one.
Yeah, that could be true, but like I said, for me personally, I haven't seen him enough, so I don't have that opinion on him.
Okay, so sticking with that midfield, we're going to move it into the centre of midfield now. To both teams, by the way, before I start this, give me a sec. It's also worthwhile pointing out at this stage that both teams line up with the same formation. So both teams favour a 4-2-3-1 formation. So that's made this a little bit easier. So in that central midfield role, sort of in the attacking role, the 10 role, it's Martin Odegaard versus Bruno Fernandes. Who comes out on top?
Oh, man. This one might cause some controversy. I don't know.
I think it will. I think this one will. This one, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like changing my mind on this one a bit, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this right now, thinking we shouldn't have put who we've put there.
So we've gone with Bruno Fernandes. The logic behind that for me anyway, is he's more integral to Manchester United at this point. Without Bruno Fernandes, we wouldn't have scored any goals. He's the one that links all the play up. He's the one that sets it up. Whereas I do think that Arsenal's attacking force is much greater than ours. So I
get where you're coming from. I feel like Odegaard doesn't need to play as big as a role as Fernandes does for United.
Yeah, that's the thing. So looking at it head to head, Martin Odegaard has scored more goals than Bruno. However, Bruno creates more big chances. He has more touches of the ball, more through balls, more crosses into the box per 90 than Odegaard.
Okay, I feel like that's got to be the only reason then that we've gone for this decision, is because of stat-wise he dominates. But I feel like, you give no disrespect to Martin Odegaard, he has been class.
Yeah, and to be honest, that one, I'm still a bit shaky on that one. Looking at it now, I'm thinking maybe we could go with Odegaard. Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, let's change it. We're going to go Martin Odegaard on that one. Yeah, Martin Odegaard wins that one. However, there is some news that at the time of recording that he might not be playing tomorrow, Odegaard. So there's going to be a late decision made on that one. To the left wing, and it's Jaden Sancho versus Gabrielle Martinelli. Now, this one's a difficult one.
This one was probably the hardest one.
Yeah, if you look at it in terms of importance for both teams, I mean, Jaden Sancho is our top goal scorer this season on 2, which is that's something else. That's a discussion for another day. But Jaden Sancho is our top goal scorer, and he seems to be sort of the main outlet for that attack. Obviously, other than Marcus Rashford, we'll get to him in a minute. But Martinelli, I mean, what a start to the season that boy's had. He scored 3 in his opening 5 games. He's looked like a complete threat going down that left flank. Obviously, he can alternate with Bukayo Saka as well, giving Arsenal the edge there. It was a difficult one, but Martinelli for me makes the grade.
Yeah, Martinelli comes on top for now. Okay, Sancho, I feel like he's just getting started.
Yeah, there is definitely that feeling with Sancho. The first 2 games he was absolutely appalling, same as the rest of the team though, but there was nothing that he offered. But then we played against Liverpool, scored that wonderful goal. If Messi had scored that, that'd be on every compilation going. It was beautiful, that goal. How he sort of dummied it and did some skills through James Milner on the floor, made Van Dijk look like he was skiing. It was fantastic. But yeah, Martinelli, great start to the season. So on the right hand side, this one's the easiest one in the world. No disrespect to him. Anthony Elanga versus Bukayo Saka. Guess who we've gone with?
Comes out on top.
Without a doubt.
I'm honestly, I'm a Man United fan obviously, but I'd love Bukayo Saka. He's such a good footballer.
He's phenomenal. He's brilliant talent. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we'll see Elanga tomorrow. It could be the debut of Anthony, hopefully, maybe.
Yeah,
who knows?
I hope so. I really hope so.
I'm excited to see what he can do. But yeah, at this stage, Anthony Elanga versus Saka, it's a no-brainer. Saka wins on every metric. Elanga, bless him, he tries so hard. He's just not ready yet. I don't think it's a case of get him out the club in a similar way to, let's say, to Heath Chong. When he plays, it is bad.
I think he needs to go out on loan for a season.
For sure, he needs a good loan deal. I would like to see him at somewhere like an Everton or maybe a Notts Forest, somewhere like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he wouldn't go out on loan at another big club. He'd need to go to a club where he's 100% gonna get minutes. I feel like that's what he's lacking in this. I don't know. I just feel like the system doesn't work at United for him in the minute.
No, I don't think so. And not only that, he is young and he's a little inconsistent. He can be fantastic on his day, or he can be a complete letdown and ghost through the entire game. There was, to be fair to him, I mean, there was a point last year with Ralph Ragnick came in around January, and Ralph sort of played him in every game, and I just feel like that's deprived him of some actual development at a youth level. It's, we've pushed him in. He scored a couple of important goals against Atletico Madrid, if you remember. He scored in the Champions League to level that tie. But yeah, he's got a long way to go, but I do think he has the potential to make it at United, and I hope he does, because I do like Anthony Elanga.
Definitely. He's still young, so, he's still definitely got a future at United.
Yeah. Last, but by no means least, Marcus Rashford versus Gabrielle Jesus. Who have we gone for?
Oh dear. What do we even need to say?
I mean, this one was a close one, right? There was a bit of a pause there. I don't feel very confident with that one.
No, I feel like you're just dragging this out as the inevitable's going to happen.
Yeah, we went with Rashford.
We went for Marcus Rashford.
No, absolutely not. We went for Gabriel Jesus. He was, what a signing. We've already said that at the start of the show. What a fantastic signing he has been for Arsenal. Really transformed their attack. Fantastic as well because of the price. I mean, 40-odd million that they paid for him, 40 to 45 million.
He's been their best player this season by a mile.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, I'll run through some...
different player to when he was playing at Man City as well.
Thing is, I liked him at City. I was shocked to see him go. I really thought he was doing well there. It was only sort of after he'd left that I realised that he wasn't sort of that popular, or he wasn't sort of the main outlet.
City's system, way of playing football, tactics, wasn't his style. And he wasn't the main man there, whereas at Arsenal, he can be that main man. So, it's given him more freedom on the pitch, on the ball, and look where it's got him. Yeah,
he's been great. I mean, looking at his head-to-head with Marcus Rashford, I've done head-to-heads for so many other players. This one is actually staggering. So he's got 3 goals in his last 5 games compared to Marcus Rashford's 1. He's... minutes per goal is 145 minutes per goal. Marcus Rashford's 443 minutes per goal. Absolutely shocking.
let's give Marcus Rashford a bit of like leeway here. He isn't a striker. He's a winger.
He's a winger, but by all reports, he's asked Erik ten Hag to play in that central 9 position. And for me, I just don't know. He's a good finisher when he gets his chances. He can score, but he's not a 9. No.
He's not a 9, no chance. You know, every time I've watched Rashford play, if he plays central, he's terrible. If he plays on the right, he's terrible. If he plays on the left, he's either good or he's amazing.
What do you think's gone wrong with Marcus Rashford? I don't know about you.
I don't know. He wasn't the player that he was a couple of years ago. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. I feel like he's either bored, of doing the same thing constantly at the same club, or he's lacking a lot of confidence since the Euros. I don't know, but I also feel like it could be he's too concentrated on what's happening outside of football. I feel like he's worrying about that more than his performance on the pitch. I don't know. It could be multiple things.
It just seems to me, and I love Marcus Rashford, but it just seems to me that he needs to get out of that club. I hate to say it. Yeah. The only reason I say that is because he looks like he is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He never looks like he's enjoying himself. Look back to when he started under Louis van Gaal. He scored his 2 goals on his debut. He looked enthused. I know he was a lot younger. He's still young. He's still 23, 24. Yeah, he looks depressed. It's sad to say he looks really downbeat when he plays, and you don't want to see your players like that. Certainly not when you're winning. I could understand him being like that tail end of last season and the start of this season, but when we're winning games and we're playing well and we're controlling games, he just doesn't look like he's up for it, and I don't know why that is. And when I say I think he should leave, I mean that in the most positive way.
He should leave for him.
Yeah, I think so. Well, like if he got that move to PSG, I couldn't fault the guy. I think someone like Marcus Rashford playing at PSG you'd see a completely different player. He would be a world beater at a club like that, and I think that's where his head needs to be. Really, that's where his head is, to be honest. So they are our combined 11. Arsenal, Manchester United tomorrow. Kick-off at 4:30 at Old Trafford. There is also talk of protests outside the game as well, before and after and during, which is always great. So make sure you go down tomorrow or up there tomorrow, depending on where you are. Make sure you're wearing your gold and green. Get those glazers out the club. We need to keep that pressure on. If you haven't seen, we did a promotion the other day. We did send it all out. It's every post from Manchester United. It's pretty much under there. You'll get to see the ShoeString Budget Podcast. We've had a lot of viewers sort of message us about that video and say fair play, keep up the pressure, and we absolutely will here. But we hope you enjoy this one today, and we can't wait for this game tomorrow. Have you got anything else you'd like to add to this, Tom?
Not other than the fact that Erling Haaland has scored again.
What's the score there in the Man City v Villa game?
It's 1-0 Erling Haaland again. He's going to be trouble.
Yeah, real trouble. He's a fantastic player, isn't he? I mean, I saw the Newcastle game, and I saw, who did they play last? City, Forest, I think. He was great against Palace, and he was great against Forest as well. Absolutely tall. It's a weird one. He doesn't tear him to pieces. That's the wrong thing to say. He's just there. Yeah, he just stands around, and the ball somehow finds its way to him. It's very frustrating, but it's
what he is.
It's an art form in itself. It reminds me of that old school striker like Van Nistelrooy. Wasn't a world beater, never sort of ran at players, tore them apart, but he always seemed to get the goals, and that's what you need. That's what we need at the moment. At Manchester United, we've got Martial's out injured. We've signed Anthony, which I'm excited about, but why did we not get a striker? I do not understand this club sometimes.
No, neither do I, but hey ho, we'll look forward to Man United versus Arsenal. Quick one before we go, score predictions.
Oh, score predictions. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Manchester United again.
Ooh,
I think we'll score in the 30-odd minute. I'm going to go with the 38th minute. We're going to score. And then we'll contain the game after that.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 to United.
So we're both coming out with a Man United win.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to, you support the club, but I feel like obviously our defence has been very strong, but I also feel Arsenal's attack has been very strong.
Yes, people, thank you so much for listening to the ShoeString Budget Podcast. We hope you enjoy our content. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as follow us on Twitter using the hashtag ShoeString Budget Podcast. Thank you so much. You take care. See you on the next one.